confused.
I didn't watch
I
it.
was watching it.
I haven't either.
That's
I
all.
feel like I lived it.
She the one that did it, you know, 'cause
Yeah,
there's like.
because they're interviewing and she's
and
like, I don't know how anybody could do this.
It's like, wait a minute, did I get that wrong?
Yeah.
That's. Then I kind of figured, oh, yeah, they're doing it for entertainment value.
Yeah,
Oh,
they paid her enough to.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Is that, I'm kind of confused.
yeah. I know the outcome.
Yeah. I kind of know what the story is.
Yeah. Looks Wednesday.
I'd like to call the Finance Committee of the whole to order. And stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, the roll call, please.
Commissioner Jazinski, Commissioner Swaney,
Here.
Commissioner Weber,
Here.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Commissioner Hope,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Commissioner Marina. All present, Mr. Chairman, except Mr. Vice Chairman, except for Commissioner Jazinski and Marina.
Thank you. Up next will be approval of the agenda. We'll start the meeting with general public comments on agenda items only. Will be limited to 3 minutes. We have no presentations or special reports, no appointments to boards or commissions. Several items of business, including several 2% requests, and then a couple budget amendments and budget discussion. We have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. We'll have general public comment again towards the end of the meeting, and then announcements and adjournment. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Have an agenda. Up next is general public comments on agenda items only. For general public comment. Okay, seeing no one for general public comment, we'll move right into committee reports. The Finance Committee of the Whole. Item number 1 is consider ratifying and placing on file the August 29th, 2025 invoice list in the amount of $1,190,962.38. The September 5th, 2025 invoice list in the amount of $317,782.94, and the adjustment list dated August 28th, 2025. Want to run us through
Yes,
those?
So for the August 29th invoice list, the total amount of $1,190,962.38. The general fund portion of that is $70,245.33. The biggest portion out of this is the construction charges for final payment for Clark Construction for $1,026,944.38. We have Advanced Benefit Solutions for monthly dental and vision for $22,221.02. And then we have for MRP Properties of $17,091.46 for the monthly rent for the 510 and the 614 West Pickard rental sites.
Any questions on that one?
So is that our final payment to Clark?
That is the final payment to Clark. So for the regular meeting, there may be a resolution to go along with this for final payment that USDA needs, but I have to verify first that the project is in fact closed out, that there's no other pending issues with the building. And if everything, then I got to get confirmation with Steve and the sheriff on this. I believe it's done, but I need final confirmation.
Okay, and then we have a contingency fund for that we never touched.
And that was changed on the last change order, where they wiped out the 700 and some thousand on that, plus 169,000 in wages that wasn't used in Clark. So those were changed in the last change order, so so in fact, according to this, the contract is done with Clark, but
Yeah,
And
and
voted on that last
any
week.
other issues and everything are usual fee billable hours, so. We really, once the contract is done, the contract, anything.
yeah, so we're just
excess
like,
will be-
just double check and make sure warranty issues and everything else.
Yep,
settled on
so
that.
just, if I understand that, once that's done, it's.
Okay,
Okay, so for the next one on the September 5th invoice list. This is in the amount of $317,782.94. And out of this portion is the general fund of $106,794.85. The items that are over $5,000 are on this first page. Some of them are the University of Michigan Health for $16,335.55 for the August monthly medical examiner fees. We also have $15,525 to custom heating and plumbing for some furnace replacements that we're getting done in this current fiscal year, because we're having some issues with obviously a lot of them. And then we have the Central Square Technologies, $76,681.12 for the new CAD license fees out of Central Dispatch. And then just various payables to, for the Public Defender's Office, sheriffs, and trial court.
any questions on the September 5th list?
Okay, the next one for the adjustments list dated August 28th. This is the list that is produced that allows us to prepay items to avoid late fees and to get early payment discounts. Like you see this every couple weeks. Consumers Energy, Gorin Food Service are the predominant ones on this list, and then there's a couple errors that were made and that were changed to reflect the actual dollar amounts, and there were two of them this cycle.
Any questions on the adjustment list? And hearing none, we'll move those items to next week's regular session, and we'll move right on to item 2. Consider approving the final payment to Procom in the amount of $99,956.94 for the Central Dispatch Backup Center console. Sheriff?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. So if this is the cleanup funds, phase 4, in the process of the project. These funds are going to go directly allocated to the Central Michigan University Dispatching Center, which is also the county's backup center for all police, fire, EMS, and related activities. So CMU and Central Dispatch is also putting funds towards this, and this will help go to get that updated. So it's a seamless transition in an emergency, and that will zero this grant out to absolutely $0.
Any questions? Pretty straightforward. All right, thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
And item 3, we'll move item 2 to next week, and then item 3 is consider approving the adoption of the automated clearinghouse ACH policy number 421 as required by Public Act 738 of 2002.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is the policy that we've set up. I want to thank Director Whitmer and our auditors who helped us get through this. It gives us our guidelines on who can do what as far as ACH agreements and setting them up and making the payments and verification. I don't know if you specifically read through any of it at all, or if anybody has any questions, but it protects us as far as checks and balances, and making payroll, paying vendors, just regular transactions throughout the course of business.
Just general comment, not on this so much, but we've changed things up quite a bit over this last year, so I know there's been a lot of adjustments and everything, but the way we change things with the new administrator, new finance director and everything, so I know some of this is new. I think a lot of it's is helps better, but it is a new system and
We've
That's
always had a policy, but never specifically approved by the board.
so just kind of cleaning things up and trying to make things a little different, more transparent, and it's not always perfect, but I think we're getting there, so
I sent what we had to the auditors and they came back with some recommendations and guidelines and what they think that we should have. And then Director Whitmer and I got together and figured out how our offices are going to work together, who's going to approve what and who's going to file what and record. So I think we're in a good place.
yeah, and it's good. Yeah, I do like the direction we're going. It's just sometimes it's not always smooth.
Is there, so the only thing I was thinking of is, the finance department staff that would be approved. Is there any reason to put in language to say that it must be a county employee? I mean, obviously, sometimes we have staff from Manpower and stuff like that.
Right. Well, I
Or
believe,
CPAs outside,
Yeah.
or,
I think after having our discussion, it's kind of going to be at, as far as on the finance department side, at their discretion, who they want to choose.
Okay.
Who they want to specifically say is the person that can do certain things. And we've had that discussion. So whether it be the payroll person or the AP person to handle some of that information at her direction.
right. I mean, obviously, how you handle the approvals is fine. I was thinking about third party providers.
We can look at that and take a peek and see if that's something that needs to be honed in on. Like I said, we went through this with the auditors, so
Yeah,
We can look at
we can
I
take
know.
a look at that.
It may not
Feel that might
be an
be
issue.
needed,
It's just a thought.
It's something to be aware of.
I mean,
right?
I don't know if you would normally use like a outside, or could be used as an outside firm to review that, and if that would be wise. Right. I'm not saying we should have a third term firm. I'm
Right.
just saying in the future, if someone said, oh, we're gonna save money by having a outside part do
Mhm.
all this. But is that a good idea?
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can look at the, it says finance department staff or as approved by the director, if we want to make that more specific. If we feel that is something that
Yeah.
is necessary, we can look at that.
What do you feel after hearing? Like,
I
it
think
may not
that
be a
as
concern.
staff, I don't have concern the way it's
Yeah.
written
Okay.
myself,
Cool.
as directed by the finance director. I think that gives the flexibility right there, in my opinion.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. And we will move that item to next week's full board meeting. Brings us down to item 4, consider approving the individual services contracts between the Isabella County Commission on Aging and James Vandermeer, Angela McGuirk, Catherine Tobin, Judy Schwartz, Steve Wood, and Mary Alsager to provide activity services, and Virginia Kane to serve as acting living newspaper editor effective October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm back with we're just renewing all of our personal service contracts today, going forward for fiscal year 26. So this first round, this is for our activities program, all of our instructors, our fitness instructors, our art instructor, and then also the editor for our newsletter, our newspaper that goes out every month. So all the amounts stayed the same. They're all repeat vendors that have been working, our contractors that we've had for many years. So they're wonderful. They do a great job. We hear such wonderful things about them. And so we would love to be able to continue that partnership and keep them coming here and working with us.
Sounds good. I have never taken any of the fitness classes, but I do get the newsletter. It's a nice little.
Yeah. It's great.
So,
A lot of
yeah.
information. It goes out to about 4,000 homes every month.
Any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move that item to next week's board meeting. And item 5 is consider approving the in-home personal individual services contract between the Isabella County Commission on Aging and Elizabeth Jane Starr Gepford for services as a registered nurse, effective October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
So we've had Jane working with us for a few years now. She does an excellent job. This is a requirement through our funding we receive with area agency with our contract with them. So we need to have an RN either on staff or we're able to contract with one to review our assessments and reassessments that are completed by our case managers for all of the in-home clients or the personal care respite care clients. So she checks out those treatment plans to make sure that we're in compliance. She does a great job. And she's very efficient. So, I mean, we plan for 5 to 10 hours a month and she gets her job done. We're usually much less than that. So she does a wonderful job. So it all depends on the number of assessments we have each in any given time period, but she's really great.
We're fortunate to have her services.
Mhm. Yeah.
Nurses are hard to come by.
Yes, yeah, it's been great.
Okay, any questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move that item to next week and item 6. And I'm gonna add a name that was left off the list here on the agenda. It's in the packet, but just didn't make it to the agenda is all, but consider approving the individual personal services contracts with Robert Lee and Paul Strickler and Daryl Cummings as bulk food delivery drivers from October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2026. Authorize board chairperson to sign the same.
So these gentlemen, they come here 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they pick up the bulk food that takes it out to our congregate sites, the outlying sites. So Shepherd, Wynn, Wademan, and Rosebush. So we have 2 different routes. We have the Shepherd Wynn route, and then we have the Wademan Rosebush route. So by having the 3, it gives us a sub. So we have 2 going every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and if one of them are off, then we have a sub as a backup. And then staff are the backup to the backup when needed, but it's very helpful. Also, if we happen to have a home delivered meal driver that's in any of those areas, they can also take their food, their coolers out to the site as well. So they don't have to come all the way here to pick them up. So that's just out of convenience if it happens to work out that way. But they're great guys. They have a lot of fun and our staff really enjoy having them working with us.
They've been doing that for years.
Yes.
They're very dedicated, and
Yes,
reimbursement they got doesn't cover anywhere near
no,
what they do.
no, they use their personal vehicles and this is, yeah.
Nice. How many congregate meals are we doing?
We average, I think it's about 300 a week in congregate meals between all of our sites.
Mhm.
Total, excuse me, total, we do about 1,100 meals a week. And those are made here right in our kitchen, right from scratch.
Okay, any other questions? Item 7, consider approving the fiscal year 2026 Isabella County Commission on Aging Nutrition Site Agreements for congregate meal sites with Shepherd United Methodist Church at the rate of $150 per month, Fremont Township, Wynn Community Building at a rate of $300 per month, Rosebush Manor at a rate of $90 per month, and Sherman Township, Wademan at a rate of $250 per month, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
So these are just the agreements that we have with those entities for us, allowing us to utilize their facilities to hold our congregate lunches or our congregate meals. So we have staff that go out to each of those places Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They are there from, the activities are 10 to 2 on all 3 of those days every week. And so we utilize all that space. They do activities in addition to the lunch. And so this is our cost to be able to use the facility from those agencies. The amounts have not changed. They didn't change from last year, I've been here 8 years and they've been the same since I've been here. So they're not increasing that cost to us, which is wonderful.
And that just covers their cost for, having the lights on and the doors
Exactly.
open and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like more food going to win than Rosebush type of thing, or is it just what they wanted to charge?
It's not, no, it's just what they wanted. to
Okay.
charge. Yeah, it's not anything to do with the number of people that go
Yep,
or anything.
gotcha.
Rosebush Manor is less only because it's Rosebush Manor, so it's the nursing home.
Yep,
And so then we operate out of that.
Okay.
So I assume that's why a
sure.
little less of a cost, where the other places we're in there and we're turning the lights on and doing the stuff in there.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, we will move that to next week's meeting, and item 8 is review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Commission on Aging requesting $587,196 for programs and services.
So we have been so fortunate here at Commission on Aging with the support of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe. Since 1995, we've received over $10.6 million, which is just incredible. And they continue to support us every round. And so we're just so fortunate. An agreement was made with them prior to my coming here, so many, many years ago, asking the Commission on Aging to submit the exact same application in both spring and fall. And then we utilize, if we're fortunate enough to receive a distribution on both of those, then that goes right onto that fiscal year. So this spring, we did receive $217,884, which was incredible. And then if we're fortunate enough to receive anything in this fall distribution, both of those amounts will then be used in fiscal year 25. So we use all of those to support our budget. Our application, it is worked on by all 5 of our managers and myself. So it represents all of our programs. We do not use this for any of like my administrative budget. Nothing goes into my lines at all. It goes into all of the 5 programs of Commission on Aging, supporting our actual programs and services that we have. And so it is definitely a group effort putting this together every year, and they've been so supportive of it. It's not for a thing. Our applications are for just general support of all of our programs and services here. And we rely on it very heavily.
Yeah, just with all the increased costs, I know the state, federal, like 35%, and the rest of it comes from the 2%, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you felt that funding, you'd have to cut 3/4 or 2/3 of the programs that you do now. So
Yeah.
it'd be a big cut.
hit.
The tribe's been a great partner with us in that,
Absolutely.
haven't they?
Yes.
I think it goes along with their mission of honoring and taking care of their seniors.
For sure.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, we'll move that item to next week's regular meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.
And item 9, review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the 911 Emergency Management Department requesting $87,500 for tower maintenance.
Morning.
Morning.
So this is a 2% request for maintenance on our new 800 megahertz tower at my office. It's for a 5-year plan to cover those maintenance costs. The sheriff and all of partners that utilize this tower signed a letter of support letter for the tribe. So it's pretty important. I mean, it's a substantial amount of money to keep up maintenance. MPSCS will be doing the yearly maintenance, the annual maintenance on the tower, and then if something was to break on the tower, then we would be responsible for that cost. However, they don't charge any hourly fee to work on the tower. So this is a a good thing and I think, very beneficial for us if we were able to get the 2%.
Okay. That's good. Any questions? For Director Gittes? Hearing none, then we'll move that item
Thank you, Mayor.
next week. Thank you. And item 10, review and assess a semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Material Recovery Facility requesting $134,256.57 for roll-off recycling truck.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, our request is for the purchase of a new truck. With the funding that we've received over the years through the tribe, we've been able to provide pickup services around the county for over 20 years. We currently have 3 roll-off trucks in our fleet, but one of them trucks have been sitting since spring because of degradation, availability of parts, the ability to pass a DOT inspection to keep it on the road. It just isn't there. So what we're with the increase in material that we've seen at some of the depot sites around the county, as well as some of them showing signs of the increased need in the near future, we will need to replace that 99 roll-off truck with a new unit to be able to provide those services. The tribe, the recycle department, has received grant funding through the EPA to extend its recycling services on the reservation. So they are going to be purchasing 2 more bins that they're going to place at another location on the reservation, which will bring the need for increased services through the tribe as well. So.
We have someone to drive that truck?
Yes, we have somebody to drive the truck. It's not gonna be on the road every,
Get a truck
right?
versus.
Yes, we have the truck, or truck driver, yeah.
The 99 truck, you got your money's worth out of that one, I'd say.
Oh, we definitely did. We used to call it Old Trusty. It was a very reliable truck for a very long time, but unfortunately, it's just, yeah.
Now you take off the key.
Huh?
Now you take off.
Uh-huh.
It's an antique.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
Yep. We'll move that item to next week's agenda. And item 11 is review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella Conservation District requesting $86,800 for the household hazardous waste clean sweep program.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I have to take off my commissioner hat, put on my conservation district hat for number 11 and 12.
Absolutely.
Program that we've been doing for years. We usually have 2 of them. Especially the household hazardous waste, costs have really increased. This last one we were at, besides what the tribe gives us, we've been able to get other grants to support that. We do plan on doing 2 of them again this year, so we run a little bit short. I think we're gonna find the extra money to do it, so we'll try to guarantee that we have 2 of them anyway. So because a lot of times we schedule these a year in advance, and then the costs will go up on them. So we try to do 2 a year, and I think if we get this one, we'll continue to do 2. If we don't, I think we can possibly still do 1, but that'll be depending on where we can find the extra money. But it's always something that the county doesn't cost the county any money. They always fill the trucks up, so it's not like there isn't a need, because we keep thinking that now, like I said, I think I told you before, now we're getting all the flat screens that
Right.
the people they're going through their cycle up before, so we're not getting the big heavy boxes anymore. Don't get very many fax machines anymore. I think those are just about done.
Have all those.
Yeah, I think those are done. Let they come back, but anyways, it's just amazing how much flat screens they're starting to come through there, so.
VCR players, still get any of those?
Once in a while, I still have an 8-track in my bin. I
Do you?
pull out one of the tractors. might come back, you never know. So, okay, that's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? On that, very good. We'll move that to next week's agenda. And item 12, review and assess the semi-annual 2% application for the Isabella Conservation District requesting $56,800 for the electronic waste recycling project.
Kind of same as the one before. Actually, there was a effort to actually build a facility to take some of that out. Got put on hold. We still are talking to people, trying to find some land actually to put a facility that we could collect once a week or something, and then ship it out once you get a truckload. But
There's a lot of interest in that around the community.
Hewlett Packard was really supporting it for a while, but we had some zoning issues that kind of derailed it for a while. So now we're working with the Dow Foundation. Hopefully something will come up with that.
Very good. Any questions on item 12? And hearing none, we'll move that to next week's meeting. And moving right along, item 13 is review and assess a semi-annual 2% application for the Humane Animal Treatment Society requesting $30,000 for shelter improvements.
So I will just touch upon this right here since they're not able to make it. So the summary of this 30,000 request is 10,000 to expand and sustain the spay and neuter capacity. This would prevent future litters and reducing future intake into the facility. $10,000 to replenish our Colton fund that ensures urgent and ongoing care for special needs dogs. And then $10,000 to upgrade the shelter infrastructure for canine groups and promoting better socialization, reducing stress, and increasing adoptions. So that is it, summary, but there's more details throughout the sheet that I won't go through.
It's a busy shelter.
Yes.
Amazing number of animals that they take in a given year. We received 663 animals so far this year.
And I've had the ability to meet with Sarah on the executive committee twice since I've been here. So we've had some really nice discussions on stuff. So it's nice to establish that dialogue with HATS and seeing what their future needs are and ways we can work together better. So I think it's been a good dialogue.
Just to say that dropping cats off at the Engler farm is not an acceptable solution, so. Which surprisingly happens way too often, so. And we do get everything spayed, but the population gets up there ways.
Okay. Scratch that, don't take that.
There you go. Don't get any ideas.
I got a couple that hunt my bird feeders. I'll bring them out there for you. We'll move that item then to next week's agenda. And item 14, review and assess a semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Prosecuting Attorney Office requesting $55,242.12 for case management software and equipment.
I will take this one also, and this application was in the past couple of years was submitted and was granted, so this has been in front of the board before. Some of the monies that they're looking for is that they're looking for some software for Crapple, $19,350. Westlaw annual fee that's for your access into Westlaw, $16,962.12. Westlaw book subscription for $3,000. Then there's $5,000 for software and equipment updates. And then they put in for the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan summer intern of $10,930 for the total of $55,242.12.
Okay.
In the past, I've heard that they don't like writing money for positions, but since this is a one-time thing intern, does have we commonly had interns?
The last
No.
time I believe that they funded this, they did fund an intern
Okay,
for a summer on the last one that they got a year ago.
I don't remember
But you're
that.
correct that usually it's not, they
Right,
don't like to pay for permanent positions. I
Right.
think an intern might be a different thing for them.
All right, any other questions on item 14? If not, we'll move that to next week's meeting, and item 15, fiscal year 25 budget amendment 2025-22, BOC, general fund.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The first one we have is for the general fund. This is a pretty good size one here. This one represents one of the things that we're looking at right now is trying to get a good idea where we're gonna come out, where we're gonna fall at the end of the year. The way this board adopts their budgets is on the general fund. You're adopting it based on the general fund, but on a department level. So we can't let any department come in overspend over what they budgeted for. When it comes to special revenue funds, those ones you're adopting based on the fund level, not the individual department level. So I just wanted to remind you of that so you guys can understand what we're looking at here. I'll start with the revenues up top. Recreational marijuana, we're increasing that by almost 308,000. That one was under budgeted, it looks like. Eagle grant for the DTE solar grant, those monies come in. State grant tower project. This is what Sheriff just brought in front of you with the Motorola project. This is the monies coming in. We're showing them coming in. You also see them going out down below. So we have an increase to the state shared income tax. A little bit for the liquor tax. Sheriff sold 17, 18 in 2019, Explorer, 3 of them back in November. So we're showing the sale of fixed assets. Refunds and rebates is way up. That was our work comp refund. And a few of the MERS forfeitures that we use, so. Tax bill processing revenue for equalization, we see this every year. What they charge going out in expenditures, we show coming in. Those monies come back into us in revenue, so we're just showing it in and out there. Same thing for election expense reimbursement, same thing. We've got monies coming in, we're showing them going out. Conveying convicts, sheriff had a lot more come in than was anticipated. Originally, his budget was $2,000 on that, so lots of good revenue coming in there. Come on down to inmate housing, same thing. The budgeted amount was 70,000 and we're coming in at well over 100 right now. So we need to up that by 38,000. So that's a good thing. We've got more revenues coming in for that inmate housing. Same thing for the detainer for inmates for state revenues. That one's way up as well. A little bit to the inmate medical reimbursement, and animal shelter services brought in some monies there, roughly $6,800, and there was no budget sitting there, but there was monies going out, so we need to show those coming in and out. So those are your revenues, $2.6 million worth we're increasing there.
What, Chris, what is the conveying convicts?
transport.
I'm actually not exactly positive, and I don't want to answer that and give you wrong information. I'd rather Sheriff answer that, or do you
I
know,
believe that
Brian?
would be the federal
I
transportation.
think it is too, but boy, I don't
First,
wanna answer wrong for Sheriff. I'd like to stay on his good side.
Just real quick too, we did get an email from an individual that is confused about the like you mentioned, the tower project money,
Mhm.
thought that we were getting extra 2 million in.
Oh, no.
I just want for the record recorded that this is a standard payment back from the state. We have already paid for the Motorola project for that 2 million. And so it's just money coming in and out. It's nothing new.
Exactly. Exactly. We had no budget set for those monies. When we get down to here into the expenditures, you'll see that a same amount of money going back out, so. Any questions on those revenues then? And Chairman, would you like me to reach out to Sheriff about the conveying convicts to get a for sure answer exactly what that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. I will reach out to him. Okay, expenditures. A lot of these, I won't go through every single one of them. A lot of these are just normal things that we adjust at the end of the year. Some of them for cell phones, I did notice that there were no budgets set at all for cell phones at all. So some of them we have to put a budget in there in order to get the departments to balance out all right. So just wanted to point that out. Contingency, we're decreasing that. We didn't need it. So that's almost $250,000 sitting there. Again, early voting expenditures, same thing. We've seen it up top with the revenues. Money's coming in, same amount of money's going back out. Same with tax roll processing. Down into the sheriff's department, for some reason, holiday pay was under budgeted. So we're adjusting that. Software subscriptions and licenses. Sheriff had 3 Motorola bills come in for 22 and 23 that they didn't bill for. He had to pay them in this fiscal year, so we need to adjust his budget to accommodate that. You see the tower project we just talked about. Let's see here. For water and sewer, we're reducing that budget by 13,500, and that's for out at Court Street is where that was budgeted at. And then on the other side, we've got some big overtime expenditures that we need to increase there. I know that Sheriff had mentioned before to this board that with the absence of road patrol, he doesn't have that flexibility of personnel to move them around. So I think this is what's reflecting there. And likewise with the rest of your, payroll expenses that go along with that. Let's see, come down to medical supplies, reducing that, didn't spend near as much. So we're reducing that so we can help out with some of those other expenditures that we needed to raise. And then medical services needed a good size increase there. And I believe that is capturing that true up with his medical services contract.
Okay. Yeah.
The overtime wages, is that, we adjust the budget, basically quarterly. Is that in this last quarter?
Yeah.
Or is it
So it's already, that particular line item is already overspent, and I've got to be able to make sure that we've got enough in there, to get them through
Right.
the end of the year. So looking back and seeing, okay, what's our average spend every month? What do we need to get them through, to get them over the finish line at the end of the year? I do think if I remember, and I'll have to look back, but I think almost every year we're adjusting overtime, for those departments. Next page, we're increasing consumers and DTE trash pickup, and that is out at the new facility. I think that's, we didn't really know, I don't think that, I would assume they didn't really know exactly what to budget for their consumers, their DTE out there usage. And, I would assume that their usage could have been a lot more with all the construction going on, with all the usage and everything. So this is kind of where we're landing here to get us through to the end of the year. Reducing equipment repair, property taxes was budgeted in there. We don't have to pay property taxes on that land, so I'm reducing that. Animal shelter, office supplies, we're increasing that. Again, you've seen where we brought in some revenues there to equal out that, so we're good there. Remonumentation, contractual services, that's for when they go out and do the four corners, I think they call it. Needed to increase that a little bit. There's plenty of revenues coming in to cover that as well. Then we come into road patrol.
Excuse me,
Oh, sorry.
doesn't that come out of the RAM fund or whatever
The transfer out does. I mean, like it all is coming around, but this particular line item is
Oh,
throwing.
they went over budget, but
Yeah.
it does come out of that.
Yes.
That they have a separate. fund
Yes.
that Actually funds that.
Yes, sir.
It's not a general fund. Okay.
I just need to increase that particular general fund line item. So doesn't throw
Okay.
that department in the hole there. So road patrol, Department 302, reducing all that. Same thing for Department 309, which is the village of Lake Isabella. Wise Township, Department 313, reducing that. And then we come down to operating transfers out law library. You're gonna see on other funds when we go over that next budget amendment, you're gonna see that those monies coming in over there. So we need to transfer out, general fund does 5,000 to cover that law library. Again, that is a special revenue fund. General fund is responsible for covering that fund. Then we come into facilities for Department 268 and 265. Moving some monies around there, taking them out of certain areas where they weren't spent and moving them to where they do need to be spent. And one of those you'll see is again over on the next budget amendment for other funds. For the child care fund, we had some furnaces. So taking out of general fund here, it wasn't spent. We're gonna transfer it over to there. We have building repair and maintenance for that weather shield roofing agreement. Took the money out of capital outlay, moved it over there. Animal shelter, it looks like, capital outlay, we moved some monies out of the facilities budget, moving it into the animal shelter budget so we can accommodate that flooring and furnace. Overall, we have $2,653,083 in revenues that we're showing on this budget amendment. With the increase in expenditures and then taking off from that, the decreased expenditures, we are actually we are anticipating adding to fund balance $328,000. Now, whether we really shake out like that at the end of this month might be a different thing, but that's what we're looking at right now. Any questions on that budget amendment? Okay.
That
Oh, sorry.
328,000 include the move from the sheriff's correctional facility money that we transferred last week. I'm sorry, the what was left in the fund for
That dollar amount, they're still on the transfer out, I believe.
That's sitting in the 400 level
That's
fund,
the
the
400
construction
level
fund. So no, this dollar amount doesn't represent that because you don't
but
budget.
that
for
construction fund is going into the general fund. Once it,
When the board adopted the budget last year in the 25, it was the zero base and it was zeroed out. You did a budget amendment in November for an additional $1.6 million to go out for the county's portion towards the correctional facility. Out of that, we still got this final bill that's going through. There's going to be some additional funds that we're going to not spend out of that 1.6 at this point. We don't know, so we didn't touch that dollar amount. So on top of the 300 that she's talking, it may be additional monies that we're not spending on the correctional fund. The money that you're talking about, that was,
contingency fund.
yes,
Yeah.
that contingency fund, that is not part of the general fund. That is part of what the USDA had as its loan amount. And
No. For when we were doing change orders, we had
that lowered our contracted amount with Clark. Yes, but that would not necessarily be reflective in its entirety in the general fund. Nice.
Because we haven't transferred, the reason why is because when we received the bills, we needed you guys' approval to sheriff to, to pay the last bill or whatnot. Once that gets paid, or when it's ready to get paid, administration sends a request to the treasurer's office to transfer funds out of that construction fund into the general fund to cover it.
I mean, last week we voted to move $700,000 out of the contingency fund for the facility. And I thought that was voting it into the general fund.
No,
No,
that
it just
was,
reduced.
that was reducing it. This is amount that we have to, when we go back and meet with Bryce. That money that's left over, we may be able to take some of the county's expenditures that they've done as far as matching, like furniture and stuff. We may be able to use that against that dollar amount that was left over in the loan. So whether
Okay,
it moves,
so So whose decision is that?
That would ultimately be
This
the board.
board's.
Yes,
Got there yet.
we haven't got to that
All right.
point yet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Um,
Sorry.
No.
Some-
No, and I'm sorry,
Good
we've had
question.
conversations with Bryce to make sure that, okay, if we do the final
Right.
payment, we do the resolution, then we may be able to get recoup some of those dollar amounts, like for furniture and stuff that was paid for out of the general fund to avoid the 6%.
Right.
Those things we may be able to put in the loan, and then we get the county will get that money back, and then but that'll be a board
Okay.
decision to do that.
Right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions on that one? Okay, to move to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one.
Next one's an easy one, other funds. So this one, we talked about both of these a little bit here. Up in the revenue section, this is the transfer into the law library. We've got to cover, I think what's happening is historically, we're not transferring in enough to them every year. And it's putting their cash at a negative. So we've got to get that covered so that their fund balance is, in the positive side of things. And then I think we'll be fine going forward for what we budgeted for fiscal year 26. We're fine. This catches it up. We're gonna get where we need to be with that. So down under expenditures, this is for those furnaces for the non-secure detention out there for childcare funds. So this is for 2 furnaces that we're gonna install out there. So we just need to increase the budget there. And again, that came out if we reduced the general fund budget. General fund is responsible for some of this anyway, but facilities director reduced his budget to put it over here, move it over here and cover these furnaces.
It would be nice to start chipping away at these furnaces. There's a lot of them
Yes.
around there and
He's got a lot to go, yeah.
lot to go.
This is our facility out on Blanchard Road?
I
Yes.
do believe so, yes.
Okay.
Okay, any questions on that one?
I guess not.
All right.
Okay, we'll move those items to next week's agenda and brings down to item 17 is a budget discussion.
So here we put it on, like you had last year, after you have the public hearing. Is there any last minute discussion before we present the final proposed budget next week for approval? And so now is just a time to kind of see if there's anything that the commissioners would like to discuss.
I'd like to open up the table to have open discussion on the salaries that I had mentioned previously. And so I guess I'd like to hear what I didn't receive an email back from most people, what they thought of that issue. And do you need me to lay out my points first?
Wouldn't hurt to reiterate,
Okay,
yeah.
so we have a kind of the wage increases for employees and elected officials going through 2 different channels. The employees went through an employee board, and a method was laid out to bring up those salaries to meet with Amy Sell's suggested salaries alignments. And then the elected officials, which were really on that review, had been separated out before that and not gone through that review by the employees. And so many of those elected officials will see like the full increase to their suggested salaries on October 1st, if our budget continues forward. Whereas our employees will be waiting 3 years to get full 100% adjusted to the wage study. And so obviously there's a discrepancy there, and I know that if Jerry was here, he would, I'm sure, be suggesting that we need to treat all paid individuals by the county the same, treated the same. we do as best we can. Obviously, we have different situations, so, you know, we have, union contracts that are always somewhat different. But we, even with when we do a union contract where have a COLA or whatnot. Last year, we changed the COLA for the employees to match that in January, so we do make an effort to try to have some even playing field for everyone. And so I think that here's a spot where we are kind of deviating. I don't think that there's any. I gotta take my glasses off because I can't look at people. The 23 inches is not working for me. My eyes are going across.
You know, they do make glasses where you can have both of them put in as one.
You know, I can only have so many different.
Believe me, I know.
These already have bifocals. And so, to get back on track, essentially, you know, we're looking at, you know, I feel an area where I think we do have to make a change to the budget. And we can easily make this an even playing field. And we have to decide if, you know, if we want to pull back the elected officials to match what we're doing with the employees, or if we want, you know, to look at increasing the pay level at a quicker pace for the employees. Now, obviously, you know, to do the employees, that's a larger amount. But I don't think it's, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying we made a mistake here, we need to back off and do everybody the same. And, you know, sorry, elected officials and deputies, but you're going to see the same pay schedule as the employees. That's my view.
The same market reevaluation.
So everybody is going to go to, everybody would go to their suggested market value, which even the elected officials were in the cell study. We just separated them out when we looked at how we were going to pay it.
One thing I would just bring up, and I'm, you know, it's the full prerogative of the board to
Yeah.
do what they want. But when you're saying the market study and the market wages, that was a guide. We're not using the market as for the elected officials. So I would just caution, because that number really technically has no minimum and no maximum. It's a guide.
Right.
And so you would have to then set what is the maximum going to be? And so there would be some things that would have to be thought through on what is the final goal that you want an elected official to be at 3 years then. If you want it phased in like that, there's just complexities involved on that. So, and I'm just, but again, that's the board's.
Well, so we do have a number for elected officials that they're going to on October 1st. And that number, like for one individual, you know, if you take out the 2.5% COLA, it's still 8.5% increase in 1 year. So our other employees that have a similar increase in their adjusted wages are going to see that over 3 years. That's just what it is. I don't think anyone can carve that apart and say that there's anything wrong with that assessment. So is that a fair deal for our employee?
I guess one thing that if kind of doing it at this moment, and you know, well, let's see what
Okay,
Commissioner.
It's not easy.
yeah. Right now, I know we talked about this a little bit. I see there might be more, but right now I think we're talking about three options. The first option would be to scrap everything and bring everybody up the first year. I think that's what you're talking about would
Well, I
cost.
mean,
I mean-
if everything's on the table.
Yeah. Which would be, you know, we kind of had the discussion a little bit last meeting as far as, you know, we got a committee set up, we're trying to get there within 3 years and everything's not fair the first year, but we're trying to get a system that actually works. So that would be the one thing, is to just do everything the first year, which we'd have some impact on the budget. The second one is, and if I'm wrong on this, please correct me. I'm not afraid to be wrong on this. So the second option would be to just, because elected officials are separate with the board, they're not in the pay grade ranges. They don't have the steps to move. So the other option would be to give everybody across the elected officials, and of course, the deputies are 74% of what the elected officials get, would give them 2% across. And then next year catch them up to where we think we are, or else you can go with the current recommendations, which was where we're at now. So am I wrong in those assessment, or are we pretty close?
Those would be your three.
Right.
Three options. So if you wanted to treat them fairly, we could do the 2% and then address it again next year, give the elected officials 2%. I think some of them are at 2%. I think some of them were recommended at more. I don't have that list on me.
Well,
Or we
obviously,
could leave it as
it would
presented.
be, so the employees that are under the cell study wage suggestion, they're getting what increase this year at October 1st?
They're getting the 2%
Right.
grid increases. I don't want to say that it's everybody gets it. It's a grid. You're increasing the grid. Plus, some of them may be eligible for steps. And some of them are also eligible for grade increases. So there's three factors that go into those.
I know you're talking about steps, but you know, we don't have to talk about steps. I mean, they happen for employees. But my point is that if we're treating the same, we do that 2% closer to the value. We look at them next year and do that increase again for elected officials, like the employees who are getting adjusted again until, you know, everybody is the same at 3 years. I realize that this is late, and that's why I think that late to the budget, that after we've had the public review, I don't think that throwing in a $450,000 budget increase for employees it's going to win many fans outside of our employees. It's a quick last minute adjustment, and it will turn some ire for sure. And I'm not suggesting that. I do think that we, you know, have money that we can move towards maybe moving our employees. Next year, when we look at it, move our employees closer or up to, you know, the wage study standard. But we'll see, obviously, you know, when we do the budget like we do next year, I think we should have that in our minds, whether we can move them up 1 year earlier than suggestion. But this year, I think that we need to look at the elected officials and pull them back to 2%.
I'm inclined to agree. I mean, if we're telling the employees, yes, here's what we found, you're under market value, we're gonna phase you in up to market value over the next 3 years. Why are we doing something different for the elected officials?
So what is our timeline for the budget adjustments if we were to go with option 2 compared to leaving as is?
We would just have to adjust all the departments that have elected officials and their deputies. And
Just all the,
Just the salaries and fringes that go along with it from what was recommended in the budget resolution and change it to a 2% and then just rerunning the numbers on the budget, and then we'd have to change the transmittal letter and all the other associated numbers with it. But that, if you're looking at the compromise, would be the easiest thing to do, and then you look at it for fiscal year 27 on what a full implementation would be at that point.
Do we have? I'm just trying to think of our timeline for the budget approval. We got two commissioners that are not here.
We would need to have something done and ready to go by Wednesday at noon. By tomorrow, Thursday at the latest, to give Chris enough time to redo the numbers and then to get everything put online and stuff like that. We would need to have the solid numbers as soon as possible, because then Chris has to go through all the budgets and read
all of it.
all of it.
It's
So,
a huge impact.
so.
It's still, it may be all of the budgets, but it's still, we're talking about like 6 people, elected officials and deputies. Okay,
There's way more than that, sir.
that, I'm sorry, that are,
Then
so we're talking about the elected officials adjustments.
elected official and their deputies, so you'd have 10.
10,
Well,
12, okay,
check.
way more, twice as many.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Would this mean that you would still go bring, like, I've noticed that the elected official and the chief deputies were not 74% across, like some were at 81%, some were 60, some. You're still talking about bringing them all up to 74% in between the elected official and the deputy. correct?
Establishing that consistency. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, so in a lot of ways, we're reducing the expenditures overall, so it's, it wouldn't be an accurate reflection of, we have to change the budget. We're not gonna just allow this to, so we got to change it, but would you be able to, if we knew today?
Yeah, I'll make it happen.
Well, I do know that Marino was in agreement with me, and he did send me an email to that effect. So, and I don't know if he copied everyone or not, but I could share that if you have questions. So that's for those who have spoken up, that's 3 commissioners who would be supported.
But there are only 5 here today that.
Yeah, well, no, one more commissioner is like a majority, right?
What, we don't have the impact of what the option 2 and 3 would impact.
Well, it's gonna decrease the budget.
That wasn't
So-
anything that I'm sorry, I didn't prepare for that.
We don't, I don't know what the exact dollar amount's gonna be, but it would be a decrease to the expenditures
On 2,
on the 2%.
yeah, and that's what I.
Yes.
okay. So do you need this?
May I ask one question?
Mhm.
I'm just thinking from an elected official, because they are elected, are the elected officials all on the same rotation right now?
Yeah.
For 4 years?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. If the board so choose to go the 3 years, are they here that long?
Right.
That it wouldn't,
Right, so,
I just
so
wanna
we
make
can't
sure
make a
thank you.
motion
We
here.
can't make a motion to do anything here. I guess,
But we can
I could try
suggest to the administration what we want to see on Tuesday.
In the absence of anybody saying no, we will take that as get it done.
we can try to get a consensus in the meantime. Within the board, talk. with
Right now, I don't,
Commissioners.
you're gonna make the final decision when you approve the budget
Correct.
next Tuesday, so if you're all in kind of consensus right now of us doing it, it's just gonna gum up the work, so I'm gonna go forward with the changing it to a 2%.
Really to call you, Commissioner Campbell, Commissioner Engler, Commissioner Weber, I think you should just say,
whether or not you think we should move forward or not, because I think you should. The decision to move forward for them to do the work.
Correct.
Should happen as fast as possible if we're gonna do that. So,
I'm in agreement.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that I understand correctly. We want to take the elected officials' salaries where they're at right now in 2025, where they're at right now, and we want to add 2%
Across the board, yes,
Uh,
that's correct.
to each
Well,
one of them.
so. My assessment is that those elected officials who are already. I don't, are all the elected officials, I can't remember. Looking at all of them.
4 of them
That
were
one
getting
memory.
more raises, 2 of
Yeah.
them were getting the 2%.
Okay,
So this would just put everybody even at
Down.
the
at
2%.
2%, okay. Sorry,
So,
yes, it puts everybody at 2% apparently.
so your recommendation, we're doing what with that? I need to make sure that I'm starting with the right
We're
base
gonna give the
numbers.
elected officials a 2% increase effective October 1st. And
2% of what they're getting paid right
yes,
now.
what they're paid currently.
And then we'll.
And then adjust
adjustments will
the
be made
deputies at a
next year.
74%.
2% on current pay.
How does this go in the minutes? Because you're taking action on something and I don't want this to come.
We're suggesting to
We're
the
suggesting
administration
nothing.
to adjust.
They're giving me a
We will
friendly
actually bring
suggestion.
We'll actually bring this back up at Tuesday's meeting and then there'll be formal adjustment.
So
There will be a budget
formalized
adjustment.
But a suggestion was moved.
To
Discussion.
administration. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we're talking about it so that because the timeline is tight, that we need to get moving on that. So, even though it's not formal and we haven't really voted it. So the vote happens, it's not an official.
Okay, so I'm gonna take 2% of the current pay, whatever the elected officials' current pay is as of September 30th, 2025, we're gonna add 2% to that. And then the chief deputies are gonna receive 74% of the elected
Yes.
salary.
Okay.
Okay. I will get to work.
So what happens to those that
Right,
were
send the
receiving?
pizza at
wage
7 p.m.
bill?
Maybe
Do they
more.
come down?
Forget it.
Deputy?
More pizza.
Sure,
That's
sure.
another
That's,
question.
okay, that's.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's the thing.
I didn't hear
That's
that.
why.
What about somebody that's making over the 74%?
I'm
They would be,
recommended.
they would be considered redline then at that point?
Yeah, I would think that they would be considered red line.
Again, you come down
We
to
can't
an
lower
elected,
it. We
elected
can't
officials
lower
and
elected
their
officials.
Right,
chiefs.
so we can't lower it,
Right.
so they would
All
have.
you can do is redline.
And,
Can you,
and that's what we're doing.
say what you think?
Go ahead.
We're going down a rabbit hole here, I feel like, so there's gonna need to be some good discussion about this and.
So employees that
So
are.
yes, red line, no, don't red line, don't give out all of their stuff now, only give them, like, we're moving all over the place now. and
We're not,
my-
we're coming into consistency.
Oh, I get it, but I wanna make sure
Joining, so
I'm bringing these things up to discuss.
employees that are above the suggested wage salary are being redlined, right?
Yes.
We're not lowering, right? So if elected officials or deputies who are above salary would be redlined as well.
If they were part of the study, yes.
How-
But no,
They pulled
what-
themselves out of the study, they're
But we're-
not part of
I
the
guess-
study.
What I'm in the.
But we're taking numbers for their salaries from the study,
Yes,
right? So
using it as a guide. to
we're
set
using it
their-
as a guide.
To set
So-
their market rate, yes.
But in this situation, we're not using the study in the situation, we're just giving a flat 2%.
2%.
Because that follows,
So
but
that, but where we run into, I think where your discussion is that the 74%. Some people are gonna be redlined. Is that? If somebody,
I thought that. I thought I understood that whatever this board sets an elected, regardless of what that wage is, whatever this board sets an elected official's wage at, their chief deputy gets 74%.
right, but there's some that are earning more than 74%.
Right now,
Yes. So that may affect a couple of them that are earning more than that 74% clip. So I think that is the discussion.
Then
That
those would be redline.
then is that's,
Would be-
if that's the board's
If the
Wish,
board so
if the
chooses.
board so
We have to
chooses, then those
remember
are
also
red line.
that Amy Cell study was counties that were probably fiscally better off than we were when that study was done.
That's,
You know,
I just want to make sure that the board understands that 2% increase, that the chief deputies, if they are over that 74%, and there may be people redlined, and just make sure that the board understands that
yeah,
at the chief deputy level.
That we froze their wage because we couldn't increase it because.
Yes,
it is my understanding that we were going towards a 74% for all
yes.
deputies. So
Yes,
You got that, Chris?
yeah.
were you saying that there was a position or two that were not in that study?
No, they were all in the study.
Everybody was in it, but the elected officials chose to pull themselves out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right.
When,
And
because
then-
of
I think that right,
policy and
maybe?
stuff like that.
Yeah.
because of
Okay.
that.
And there's no.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
There's no steps with the elected officials.
Right.
Because it's the board's the one that, unlike the regular employees, the board just sets their salary.
And then
The
is-
administrator make recommendations on the employees.
and then as the chief deputy, being an appointee of the elected official, they're not, part of your regular non-represented employee. So that's why the 74% tied it to them, since they wouldn't be a part of that wage study either. It was just a consistency thing.
Yeah, the board sets the elected official salary. That's it. That's.
Can I read real quick what I put in the minutes just for you guys?
Mhm.
I just put, a suggestion was made to present a 2% increase across the board for all employees, including elected officials,
No,
Not all employees,
just elected.
just elected.
just elected officials.
who are not redlined.
Well, no, the elected official would not be.
Oh, yeah, it's
Chief
the
deputy.
deputies, right. If that wording still
And
works.
also redline those that are above the 74% when it comes to chief deputies.
Of the elected.
Of their,
officials.
of the elected.
Salary.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have what you need from us? Any other discussion? Okay, then we will look to next week for that.
Yes.
I will go to work on.
Hey, you got your work cut out for you.
I just have one quick thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no
Uh,
problem.
The Medicare facility. I have had a few individuals reach out to me in concern. I do understand that the Medicare facility does have surplus. I wouldn't even call it a surplus, but they do have proceeds in their fund balance. That's gonna allow them to do other things. In saying so, I would just like to make the statement that there is a separate board that oversees the Medicare facility, other than this current board that's sitting here. And that board guides the Medicare facility as far as how their funding is going to be utilized and spent. Correct?
Yes,
Yes.
it's a 3-person board.
Correct.
2 are appointed by this body, and then 1 is appointed by the governor's office.
So. But I do feel that the Medicare facility, has the right, to make improvements on their facility, which are needed. For our elderly, to make sure that they are, taken care of, to the best of their ability.
And maybe I was hearing you wrong. Were you saying Medicare or medical care?
The medical care.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I
I'm
want to
sorry.
make sure that I
Yeah,
did
yes.
this hear you and.
But
Thank you.
I just wanted to make that statement because I think there's some confusion in the public when it comes to the 1% mill that's was voted by the taxpayers.
One thing I'm gonna make sure next year is that, the document that Rick had prepared, I think he had a very detailed explanation of the use of fund balance, and so I'm gonna, when the presentations are done next year, that there's more details in the fund balance, what it's gonna be used for and everything moving forward, from both of them, so that way the board is not facing these questions after the fact, that it should be probably discussed earlier, and so I will make sure that we get more details for you next year.
And Rick did a phenomenal
He
job.
did. He did.
I think that's always been confusing to the public. I don't think they understand that this board before us right here has no budgetary control over the individual line items of their spending nor their revenues, strictly the millage.
Right.
Which does obviously impact their budget. But as far as certain, when we get down into the weeds like we can here, that you folks don't have that ability.
Yes.
While we're just clarifying things for the public, and we're talking about millages, the Commission on Aging and the Parks millage, which are run by county employees, are approved down to the line item by this board. And so I think there was maybe some misunderstandings on that in the public as well. So that is different from IRAD, and it's different from medical care facility. Commission on Aging millage and the Parks millage does get approved and is managed by this board, and any capital expenses or large expenses always come to this board for approval.
And
Thank you.
like with the parks, we have a advisory board of citizens that when we set up advisory boards or boards, I said, this board doesn't have to take the recommendations, but it's foolish of us not to listen to those recommendations, or else you'll have people not serving on those citizens committees. So it's always very rare that the board will not take a recommendation from one of the boards, but we do have the ability to do that. But it's just foolish for us not to listen to our citizens on those committees that spend a lot of time on those committees. So
Thank you. Okay, anything else? On that note? If not, we're gonna move along. We have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. Down to general public comments. Anyone for general public comment? 3 minutes, open to anything you want to talk about. And seeing no one, announcements. Commissioners, any announcements? No announcements? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move support, whatever.
Whoever.